hated this book. I hated it. I'm gonna hurt some feelings today because I hated this book. This was an adventure. Not the kind of adventure where you get home and you're like, oh yeah, I can't wait to do that again. The kind of adventure when you get home and go, woo, I can't wait to repress all that from my memories and never think about it again. I'm so mad at this book. Whoever recommended me read this book, like jail, straight to jail. Don't ever talk to me again. Fuming. So The Priory of the Orange Tree came out in 2019. It's by Samantha Shannon. At the time it was a standalone, but since reading it, the second book has come out and I've never been less interested in a book in my life. This book was over 800 pages long and there was a need for about 200 of them. So much of this book was unnecessary and complicating to the plot and adding no benefit to the plot at all. I'm so angry. I need a minute. Okay, taking my minute, I'm back and I'm not going to be mean. It's fine. So the book needed an editor. There was so much unnecessary waffle in the book and there were 3, 4, maybe 5 plot lines that kind of intermingled. You could see what was trying to happen, but nothing was happening enough to make all of the plot lines worthwhile. And it just became a bit confusing and a bit messy. So we had one plot line. This is going to contain spoilers, by the way. If you haven't read this book, don't watch this video because I'm going to ruin it, probably. Anyway, so we have a plot where the queen is in danger and she must get married and she must have an heir because, oh no, what can a queen do without an heir? I hate that. I hate the idea that women are only worthwhile if they have children. Just no. Absolutely not. Not everyone's destined to be a mum and that's fine. And the second plot line, we had this woman who was destined to help the queen, but she was magic, but no one knew she was magic and she was really terrible at hiding the fact that she was magic. And she was the main character and she was just a bit dull. People keep texting me. She was just a bit dull and I had no interest if she lived or died or whatever happened to her. The third plot line was something about a woman who flies dragons and is relevant to the story somehow. I don't even know how. The dragons as well. So see this big dragon on the cover would make you think that the dragons are very important to the story because they're not. The dragon is in it for that woman who's learning to fly dragons and that's kind of it. And I was like, I thought dragons were going to be this big dragon on the cover and you're not including dragons in this story? No. And the other plot line, there's definitely another one that I can't even remember because it was so pointless that it's irrelevant to my brain. Why did they need, this book should have been split in half with an A story and a B story and maybe a little C novel where they mingle at the end and it's a brand new book and this is how it all turns out. There was no need for all of this to be in this book. It was just oversaturated and poorly done. I said I wasn't going to be mean, I lied. The characters were another disappointment in this book. I feel like none of them were truly fleshed out. I think that because there were so many characters, the author just spread the character development very thinly rather than having a couple of key characters that really built up. There were a few key characters, but they were so washed out with all the other background characters that they didn't really stand out. The most standout character was the Queen, and for me, that was probably because I hated her plotline the most, so her character just stood out to me the most. But I think they were so flat, and there could have been so much more done with these characters, but it was just a wasted opportunity. I don't want to be all negative, so I guess the cover is beautiful. This is a beautiful book. It's very pretty, and it has an absolutely beautiful map inside, if I can get to it. So yeah, beautiful map, beautiful book. In a lump sum, that's a star. And the other star is for the political backstabbing. There were elements of this book that did remind me of the Cruel Prince series. I love the Cruel Prince series because it's so political and because you had all these political parties fighting against each other. This book had a similar thing going on. You had people who wanted to rule, people who wanted the Queen to succeed, people who wanted the Queen to fail, people who wanted to come into power instead. All that political backstabbing and the political arguments was so much more interesting than any of the main plot. That was all kind of background gumph, and I enjoyed that so much more than the main plot. And for that, it gets the second star. I give this book 2 stars overall. I think I went into this with the attitude that it was going to be a very high, well done fantasy, almost on the verge of like the Discworld series without the humour, but that kind of like built up fantasy. But it just felt really rushed, and I think it felt like they had gone for wokeness. I don't know if that's the right way to even describe it. Rather than actually having any plot or anything of substance, it felt like it was a book that was to tick all the boxes. On the back it says, next generation of hit fantasy fiction, a feminist Lord of the Rings. And that's what it felt like. It felt like a feminist Lord of the Rings with no other plot. It felt like they had deliberately written this book just to tick a load of boxes, but to not actually write a story for people to enjoy. And I'm really frustrated, and it's a week of my life that I'm never getting back. And it's a shame as well, because I really love The Bone Season by Samantha Shannon, so I know it's not her writing style because I read that one and I really enjoyed it. It's just for some reason this book didn't mesh, and she missed the mark with this one for me a bit. I feel like I've just ranted and it's been fine. I'm sorry if you enjoyed this book and I've just hurt your feelings, but nah. This one's not the one. I don't recommend it. I think it got overhyped on TikTok. I think they bigged it up too much, and so it led to raised expectations, which resulted in overall disappointment. Still keeping it on my shelf though because it looks pretty, but I might get rid of it one day. Anyway, enjoy. Thanks. Bye.